Welcome back, bastards, brigands, sirens, and scoundrels, and of course, scruffy-looking nerf herders. I am the Brigand Bob, and today we are going to talk about my primary home defense weapon, or what I like to call the Gray Wolf. Now, this is my answer to the Honey Badger. The Honey Badger costs, I want to say, like around $2,400 or $2,800 or something like that. And this build did not cost nearly as much. Now, is it as good as the Honey Badger? I don't know, probably not. But does it accomplish the exact same thing? It absolutely does. It's a dream to shoot. It is quite compact. It's good for moving around inside of small, confined areas. And it is chambered in 300 Blackout. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Now, as I mentioned, this is chambered in 300 Blackout. We've got 208 grain Hornady Black subsonic ammunition in it right now, or in these magazines. I am running Lancer magazines for my 300 Blackout builds lately. You can run 300 Blackout in 5.56 mags, and I haven't had any feeding trouble with 5.56 mags or any issues necessarily, but the rounds just feel super loose in a 5.56 mag. You can, and if you just smack the mag, the rounds will just come popping out. So I do like running the Lancer mags that are made specifically for 300 Blackout. They look fantastic. They actually say 300 Blackout on them, and it makes it easy to separate from any of my 5.56 mags so that there is absolutely no chance of confusing one mag with another and loading 300 Blackout into a 5.56 weapon. So I like the Lancer mags. They're not cheap, but they're not outrageous either. You can get them for like 20 bucks a pop off of Primary Arms. So yeah, Lancer mags. That is what I'm running in them. But the Lancer mag is not the weapon itself. We'll go ahead and do it Grand Thumb style and just go from tip to butt. So we'll go ahead and start with the muzzle device. Now I have the Griffin Armament 30 SDK on this particular weapon right now, and I have made another video on the Griffin Armament 30 SDK. It is a great can. It fits over other A2 devices. I know I mentioned before that not all bird cages are created equally. It must be NATO spec A2 devices. Should also mention they need to be 5.56 A2 bird cages, because 308 A2 bird cages are going to have a diameter that's too thick for this to close over, for the gate lock to close over. So what I found is on 300 Blackout, I do have to run a 30 caliber host from Griffin Armaments in order to take that particular can. So this is a Griffin Armaments flash comp. I like it for the 30 caliber. I wouldn't run it on a 5.56. I will continue to run bird cages on 5.56 because I think they do a superior job of mitigating the flash. But with 300 Blackout, you don't have nearly as much burn off as you do with 5.56 on shorter barrels. So this flash comp does just fine, and it does what it's supposed to do. I don't really shoot my 300 Blackouts unsuppressed anymore now that I finally have a suppressor. So the muzzle device is simply the host for the suppressor for all intents and purposes, but it is a good flash suppressor. I don't know how great it is at compensating. There's not a ton of recoil with 300 Blackout. I guess a little more than 5.56, but I digress. Griffin Armaments flash comp for the muzzle device. Moving back to the rail, we have a Midwest Industries M-Lock rail on this guy right now. It is worth noting that the barrel and the upper receiver was Palmetto State Armory when I purchased it. So I stripped the rail off of it and replaced it with a Midwest Industries rail. And I also attached an M-Lock foregrip, which I then chopped down to 1 inch to turn it into a hand stop. So you're not gripping that thing. There's not enough material there to grip it. So I'm not running afoul of any ATF rules, but it is a great hand stop, and I think it looks great. You'll notice it was wolf gray. I dyed it with fabric dye, and then I stippled it, and so you get the two-tone with the black and gray. That's how I got that look. Running a Surefire mini scout light, boop boop. And something you may notice as well is I've got this lens cap on here, and that is so you can protect against accidental discharging of the light. So if you're not using the light and you don't want to grab your gun and accidentally pop white, this cap does a great job. I just get them for a few bucks off of Amazon. So you can buy a bunch of these 20mm caps and put them over your weapon lights, and they fit quite well. If it doesn't fit exactly, if it's a little bit too big, just a little tape around the light will make it fit on there snugly. Pressure pad also, so boop boop, and you're dead. So running back further, yeah, we've covered the barrel, muzzle device, rail. I do have a Daniel Defense front sight post, and running a rear sight post from Daniel Defense as well. I like them for iron sights. If you don't want them to be low profile, I think they're probably some of the better ones. Them or ScalarWorks, but somehow ScalarWorks manages to be more expensive than Daniel Defense. So moving back, I have the Primary Arms Micro SD red dot. I really like this red dot. It lasts forever. I mentioned it in a previous video where I talked about my bag gun, which is also chambered in 300 Blackout. It runs the exact same optic. Love that optic. Haven't changed the battery in it since I got it. Still runs bright. Probably will change it this Christmas, but it's been almost at least 3 years since I built this gun. So this Christmas I'll change it out, but 3 years running strong and never turned it off. I have it on a Midwest Industries 193 mount. I actually really like this for the 193 height. If you're looking for something that's comparable to other stuff out there but isn't outrageously expensive, the Midwest Industries 193 mount is quite fantastic, and I like it. It also has a nice little peephole in the mount itself, so you can still see your irons through it if you need to run your iron sights for any reason at all. So I'm obviously not co-witnessing with my irons. The 193 runs high enough that there is no co-witness going on. I'm just running the red dot. But with that peephole or co-witness hole or whatever you want to call it right there, I can just simply move my cheek down and get my iron sights picture without any problem. So that's pretty solid. The bolt carrier group is black nitride bolt carrier group from Palmetto State as well. I've noticed that their bolt carrier groups are actually pretty awesome. A lot of people talk smack on Palmetto State, and listen, I'm not here to tell you that Palmetto State's just as good, because it's not in a lot of ways. I'm not the biggest fan of their rails. I'm not the biggest fan of their A2 bird cages. I'm not the biggest fan of a couple of things that they do, but some things they do just fine, and their bolt carrier groups they actually do exceptionally well. If you ever go over to School of the American Rifle and watch him do some breakdowns of different bolt carrier groups, he has taken apart and gauged a lot of bolt carrier groups, and shockingly enough, Palmetto State Armory bolt carrier groups tend to perform really well in those gauging sessions that he does. So not the worst bolt carrier group that you can do by a stretch. The one thing I will say about PSA, and I think this is where the discount, the lower price model kind of shows, and where that's kind of reflected, is quality assurance. So a lot of the bolt carrier groups, I'd say 50% of the bolt carrier groups I ever got from Palmetto State Armory were not staked properly on the gas key. They just the barest minimum amount of staking, but not enough material to really make sure that the gas key is not going to break loose. I, however, have a gas key staking jig for bolt carrier groups, so I use that to stake my own bolt carrier groups if I find the staking to be insufficient on them, which I have found on 50% of the PSA bolt carrier groups. Again, not all of them, just 50% of them. And we'll go ahead and break this guy down. So I can show you the bolt carrier group staking, and you can see now it is sufficiently staked. I believe that is, yep, that's one that I did. So if you get into building a lot, it's probably worth it to have a lot of your own tools to do a lot of things yourself, and staking bolt carrier groups is one of them, because you will find staking to be insufficient sometimes, and you'll want to do it yourself. Actually, while I'm in here, also dropped this little rubber wedge into the lower receiver of the rifle. And what that does is that takes up any play between the lower receiver and the upper receiver. And there is truly almost no play once that's there. So it makes your gun feel a lot more solid. I really like it. So moving back, we've got the charging handle. It is a Radian Raptor ambidextrous charging handle. I love the Radian Raptor charging handles. There are a lot of ambi charging handles out there. A lot of them are great. I just love the Radian charging handles. I love the way they look. I love the way they feel. They're my favorite by far, partially because of the aesthetic, but also because they work, and I just like the ergonomics of them. I like Radian, what can I say? I am running just a regular old mil-spec safety, and quite honestly, I probably like mil-spec safeties more than any other safety out there. I run Radian Talon safeties on a few of my guns, and I like those probably second best, and I really do like those, and they're great for having an ambi safety. If you want to have an ambi safety on a longer range build where you might be going prone and taking longer shots, it's nice to be able to actuate the safety from the opposite side. But for a typical home defense rifle, I really just like the standard safety selector, the mil-spec safety selector. I like it. I'm also running a bad lever, Magpul bad lever on this particular weapon, and I don't run bad levers on any other of my guns so far to date. And there's a lot of debate out there. The bad levers are sort of controversial, but I do not use the bad lever for releasing the bolt, which you can do, but I don't like to use it for that. I exclusively use the bad lever for clearing malfunctions, so locking the bolt to the rear. Otherwise, and I will just slap the paddle to release the bolt. But otherwise, if you want to clear a malfunction, you have to take your hands off of the rifle, brace the rifle against yourself or something, and hold down the mag catch, or the bolt catch, in order to lock the bolt to the rear. Now, that's a lot of stuff you have to do if you're trying to clear a malfunction, which can add time to clearing a malfunction, specifically a double feed. So I actually find bad levers to be pretty helpful for clearing double feeds, and I like them for that reason. I continue to just slap the paddle to release the bolt so that I maintain that same manual of arms. So if I'm running something that doesn't have a bad lever, I'm not trying to release the bolt some unorthodox way, and I don't have misprogrammed muscle memory, if that makes any sense. But I really do like locking the bolt to the rear with that much ease. Otherwise, locking the bolt to the rear is going to become this exercise in which takes significantly longer. So, not a fan. I like the bad lever for that reason. Clearing malfunctions, if for no other reason, I think the bad lever has its purpose. So, all right. I am running a Geisley SSAE trigger in here, and the take-up on it is non-existent. It just breaks so fast. it breaks so easy. The reset, tactile, smooth, and then the brake, there's like almost no weight to it. I want to say it's like 2.5 or 3 pounds. This is ridiculous. I absolutely love the Geissele SSAE trigger, and I have run a multitude of triggers, mil-spec, drop-in triggers, and Geissele triggers, and out of all of them, the Geissele triggers are by far my favorite. I do have anti-walk pins in here as well, because the pins like to walk loose. It is a Palmetto State Armory stripped lower receiver. It was not a build kit. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm not a fan of build kits. I'm not a fan of pre-built things. I like to order parts independently and build it myself. So this was a stripped lower receiver from Palmetto State Armory, and I just got I think a CMMG lower parts kit to put it together. And I like the CMMG lower parts kits because they don't come with a fire control group, because I will typically, if I have my druthers, buy something like a Geissele. So running B5 Systems pistol grip. It's all right. It was a wolf gray pistol grip when I bought it. Again, I dyed the polymer grip itself, and then I stippled it, which is how I get that nice black and gray two-tone job. And I also get additional texturing on the grip, which gives me better purchase on it, and it feels a lot better in my hand. Yeah, so there's that. Between B5 Systems and Bravo Company pistol grips, I prefer Bravo Company pistol grips. Just like with most things, I have my druthers, and Bravo Company is it. I just wanted to try out B5 Systems, so I bought a couple of their grips for kicks, and it doesn't suck by any means or any stretch of the imagination. It's better than most of the grips out there. I just happen to like the Bravo Company pistol grip better, but this, I would say, is a close second. So it's a good pistol grip, just not as good as Bravo Company's, in my opinion. Moving back from there, we do have a Bravo Company end plate. So it will take a QD mount, or QD attachment rather. So I like their end plates for that. I typically don't run my attachment for my sling right there. I typically like to weave my sling through the buttstock using no attachments. I am using a QD attachment, just a M-lock QD attachment attached to the rail on the rail itself, but otherwise not going to run the QD attachment on the back end of the rifle. I like to just weave my sling through the buttstock, as I've done here. You can see that there. So that brings us to the buttstock itself. The buttstock is a Tailhook Mod 2 from Gearhead Solutions. It's a pistol brace. It's got this neat little button here where it breaks down and turns it into a pistol. So this is a pistol brace. It is not a buttstock, just a brace. I like the Tailhook Mod 2 a whole heck of a lot better than the Tailhook Mod 1 for sure. I would not run that. It comes with its own proprietary buffer tube, which I'm not super thrilled about, unlike the SBA3. But at the time that I built this, the SBA3 was not out yet, and it wasn't really ubiquitous. You couldn't just find them laying around like you can now. So I went with the Tailhook Mod 2 at the time. And if the SBA3 had been a thing, I would have gone with that, because the Tailhook Mod 2 was priced a little pricey, and it probably still is. Definitely not my druthers. Now, that being said, it is incredibly good at what it does. I'm saying that, and I won't close here. Oh, shit. There we go. So it actually does what it does very well. The one thing I will say that it has over the SBA3 pistol brace is that it is more rigid back here, so you don't get all that binding and bunching like you do on the SBA3, which is nice. It does adjust, I believe it's 6 positions, I'm not entirely sure, but it has multiple adjustment positions. It's just not a proprietary buffer tube, which again, it is a proprietary buffer tube, which again, I'm not 100% thrilled about. You'll notice there is some material here. This is actually some Talon grip-like material, or some tape grip that's rubberized tape grip, and I just kind of cut it out in a pattern that I liked and put it on this brace. So when your cheek is against it, it also creates a nice index point for your cheek weld. And it looks cool, so that's important. The paint job, I actually painted all of these parts independently before I assembled the gun itself. So when I had the stripped lower and the upper stripped, and I had the tail hook mod 2, I painted them all separately, gray, and then did a little bit of gradient fading with black. And I like the way that that turned out. Overall, I like the look and feel of the gun. It shoots beautifully. I did have to change the buffer weight, which was 4.5 ounces to 3 ounces. Changing the buffer weight to 3 ounces solved my short cycling issues with subsonic ammunition when I was running suppressed. So that solved those issues, and now I can just rattle off subsonic rounds as fast as my heart desires without any kind of cycling issues. No double feeds, no jamming, no nothing, just good old-fashioned American fun. And yeah, I'm also running a 2-point rifle sling here, and this is my 2-point rifle sling that I make. I have a bunch of them. I run it on all of my guns. It was actually inspired by the Frank Proctor way of the gunsling. So it is minimalist, but it does have a slightly more adjustability. It's way easier to adjust in my opinion, which I like. But being able to adjust it rapidly is pretty convenient. And allows you to kind of bring it in close to you without having to worry about it flopping all over the place. And if you need to swim out of it, it's extremely easy to do. So, yeah, and that's it. That is everything that is on this gun. I don't think I forgot anything. So guys, this has been my 300 Blackout primary home defense build. I really appreciate you guys stopping by in the video. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like on the page. Subscribe. If you have questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you think I suck at this, tell me I suck at it, and leave those comments in the comment section below as well. As always, I appreciate you. Remember to be kind, be compassionate, be considerate, but still be dangerous. Have a great day.